meet milestones and coordinating with cross-functional teams for timely deliveries.
Because we had two private entities to tell you the background. Okay, and secondly, the concept of learning and development is also very, very important. But we try to really understand and bridge the cultural diversity that we have. Communication, keep the clear two-way communication is very, very important. The KPN connections for them to attend trainings from our clients.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series by World Development Corporation. I'm Sunny Pancholi, uncovering some great achievements and contributions of unsung heroes, inspiring others. In today's conversation, we are going to explore the important phases of Mr. M.S. Ravi's career, who is serving as a senior project manager at Bosch Global Software Tech Private Limited, handling transition projects from global clients and financials, including audits for Indian entities. We are glad to have you on today's show, Mr. Ravi.
Thank you. And I'm glad to be part of this initiative on FaceTime with Leaders.
All right. So, Mr. Ravi, where to begin with? Okay. So, in your current role, you are spearheading the first of their kind global controlling projects, which is a massive feat. So, how did you come about achieving it?
Yeah, I think to just start off, this was the first of its kind. So where the vision of the management was to create a separate hub in India to spearhead controlling activities that plan to be outsourced from foreign entities. So we were starting off with only Bosch clients to start off with, so that we want to expand. So that we would have to have this as a sort of benchmark, so that we start to get more of such kind of work, so that we have a very specialized team dedicated to cater to our foreign clients. To start off with, I was in fact lucky enough to be handpicked by the top management. So after having 2 or 3 rounds of interviews, because earlier I was also part of Bosch, but I was into plant accounting and controlling. So they handpicked me to drive this particular project. And for me, there were 4 things that I was clearly focusing on. Is a proper planning, because the strategic planning for the top management and for myself as a leader is very, very important. So I start off with 4 important things that we talk about: strategic planning, then timely execution was very, very important to drive such kinds of projects. Third is the phase of stabilization, where you stabilize the things that you have taken over. And fourth is you go for improvements. So you cannot maybe jump into the improvements quite early, because you have to stabilize the entire process. So you learn everything and then you do it. So as a part of the planning exercise, what I did is I have a set of teams that will be working for this particular project. So what I did is I start mapping their skill set. So that means I try to find out whether they had the required skill set to take up these activities. So what I did is I start with the trainings. I started trainings. I was myself sort of mentoring them on different topics of CO, that is the controlling topics, because they come from different diverse industries and kind of diverse fields. So they had to be trained on this particular specific topics, so which I did very clearly. And second is to clearly, which of course, I would say it's a sort of pre-planning stage where we had to create the sort of infrastructure what they require, the KPN connections for them to attend trainings from our clients, and also small things that was clearly addressed to. The second stage was we had a clear-cut understanding with the client so as to what he requires, because the first thing that we have to understand is the purpose of the project and what is the actual requirement of the project. So without understanding the background of the project, it is quite difficult to drive. So we had multiple collaboration, communication with the clients on this other end setting, maybe in Australia and also in the Middle East. And we were trying to take their inputs, and we draw up a clear charter, a sort of clear-cut this understanding where we had a tracking system of each and every activities. The dates were finalized for the trainings. So basically, this was called as a phase of KT. It's called the knowledge transfer. So once the knowledge transfer was over, I took over the documentation part of it, because documentation for any person, be it a board director or you are this independent director or you are a leader, every company is supposed to have a clear documentation of the process what they do. So that was the first thing what I was insisting with my team. We created the process documentation. Then we discussed this process documentation with the clients there sitting, and they also was okay to it. And then we had the document signed off. So third phase, what we did is we had the stabilization phase. And during this phase, I planned out a 3 months of trainings for my team members, okay, including myself, where we try to understand the show me, the let me, and tell me phase, which I classified this into 3 phases. So in the first month, these people sitting in Australia or Middle East would be training them, would be training the team on different kinds of topics. And we will try to understand, we will try to record this particular documentation and also prepare a clear documentation for this. And second important thing was the second phase of it is where we do it and they see from the background. So that means they try to guide us on places where we go wrong and try to improve ourselves. And third phase is we have the thing is go live stage, where we have to start performing the task all alone. So, and the third important thing was stabilization. Stabilization will take at least 3 to 4 months for any projects to really understand where we go wrong. And we were in continuous touch with the clients to understand whether we drew up the key performance index that we have to achieve. And the fourth stage was where we are planning to go for improvements. So these were the 4 stages that was insisted upon, which I did as a part of this global controlling project.
That was really nice start for our podcast, Mr. Ravi, with great food for thought for all of us. All right. So another big accomplishments you have made is that you have handled a merger of 2 entities. So could you share some factors you consider during the process from start to finish?
See, the merger topic, so as you know, is a very complex process. So because it is not, so from the financial side also, we have to take care of so many things because we had 2 private entities. To tell you the background, 2 private entities was there, and one entity had to get merged with one more entity, which is at Nagnatapura in Bangalore. So this plant, which was supposed to be merged, was in Chennai. So we had to go to this NCLT for these mergers. The reason why we had to go for this merger was the plant in Chennai was not doing well because they had huge mounting losses. So as a result of this, the product had already gone a sort of end of life. So that means we had no option but to have this merge. But we had an excellent infrastructure which we didn't want to sell off, or we didn't want to dispose of to some other third party. So we thought that we will go for an expansion. So we did this merger thing. And as a part of this NCLT, these orders which came on the 1st of March 2023. So the biggest challenge for us is we had to go for a tax filing. We had to go for a revised tax filing of these merged entities within 6 months of receiving this order from this NCLT. So that was the biggest challenge for me, because I had to fight my way through all these internal stakeholders. I had to fight my way through the external stakeholders, in this case, external stakeholders with this audit team. And also we had to revisit the 2 years financial statements of the company that is going to be merged, because they were under this IGAP. So we had to go for a convergence where this IGAP had to be converted into this index. So as per the thing that we had to do, so as per the compliance we had to do, so we had the biggest challenge. And secondly, the important thing for me that I felt as a challenge was there was lack of people around me, because the person who was handling this particular topic had left the organization and a new person was inducted where he didn't have any idea about this particular topic at all, because he had no prior experience on this. This is very complex, and for me the biggest challenge was I had a issue of no headcount to support me on this particular topic, because there are 2-3 important things, because as per your income tax section 170A, we had to go for a filing of the tax returns, a revised tax return within 6 months of getting this order from this NCLT. So that was the biggest challenge for me. Apart from that, we were also having this audit for the financial year. So that means we had to really have this audit for 2 financial years prior from the date of the merger, and also the current financial year where this audit has to be done. And to my surprise, these auditors were insisting, because those 2 financial years for which this audit had already happened, but they were still insisting that they had to do some kind of test checks, some kind of sample checks. So as a result of which, though the whole balance sheet and financials were signed, but still in spite of that, these people were insisting that they had to do a sort of test checks. And so that also took time, because it's not easy, because they were like asking on revenue samples, they were looking at schedules, they were looking at notes to accounts. So everything had to be done from the scratch. So what I did was I planned it quite clearly, quite meticulously. So some things which I could do, I did it from my side, because the standalone financials will have to be done. So once I did the standalone financials, the consultation part, I took third-party support. So that means there was a set of chartered accountants sitting outside as a third party, and they supported me in this process of consultation. But standalone, from my point, from my team, we did it and we shared with them. And I feel that was the sort of thing that we did. And we also used to have regular meetings with the plant commercial, because plant commercial was a person who is answerable to the board. So ultimately, he was looking for some kind of like inputs from us. So like every Monday, I made the Gantt chart. So in the Gantt chart, I am clearly telling who has the role to play, what role he has to play, is the sort of timelines that he has to maintain. And we also have the system of color coding, where we say something is yellow, something is red, means nothing is taken off, something is green, that means something we have finished. So that was the kind of micromanagement that I had to do, because I had to settle this issue before 31st of this August, because I had to close the entire this audit, start the consolidated financial statements, and have it signed by the board and also by these auditors. So I think it was the sort of biggest challenge which I faced, and to be honest, that was a sort of this nightmare for me, because of I didn't have the proper team strength. But by the grace of God, yes, I was able to do it successfully.
Certainly, Mr. Ravi. Mergers are not everyday occurrences, and such insights can be handy for future references. So something unstated here is that you are highly accredited for effective communication and prompt issue resolution. So how do you believe that these qualities help you in managing internal as well as external stakeholders?
See, to start with the global projects, so it's very, very difficult, because we had two important issues. The first issue was the cultural diversity. So because people sitting there are culturally quite different from the way we Indians pursue their practices, their thought process was totally different. So when I took over, what I did was I tried to understand. We created a 2-day workshop where we try to understand each other, because a person sitting in Australia or a person sitting in Dubai, his taste, his practices and all will be totally different. So we try to understand each other. We had a lot of interactive sessions. We had a lot of funs. Of course, everything was in teams, but we try to really understand and bridge the cultural diversity that we have. So that was the first thing that I did as far as the global thing was concerned. And secondly, the sort of thing that we had to also deliver things at a timely manner. So that was the second big important thing that I had to drive. So for that, what I created was a separate ESM tool. So it's a kind of a tool. It's called this Enterprise Service Platform. So that means I created that particular platform in which the people sitting there in Australia can raise tickets on me. Because the problem is, if they're going to send me emails, I'll have hundreds of emails going through in a particular day, which I may skip or I may not see. So in order to have a clarity on the service levels that we have to give on a timely manner, so this ESM tool, of course, is a global platform that is available in Bosch, and we also implemented. We sort of tested from India, and we ensured that everything was in line, and we rolled out this particular platform on 1st of August 2022. So as a result of which, I can track my KPIs. I can easily track what the customer requires. And each of this is getting tracked, because if it is a part of an activity that is flowing to me as a part of the closure of this month end, so I have to close this with certain timelines, because I have two maybe 2 hours sort of deadline by which I have to close this particular task. I may be also given some task which I may take even 5 days. So that means this is an excellent tool which we implemented in case of Australia. And so that the people sitting from India, with people sitting from Australia, and even my own boss, he'll be able to see whether I'm able to give solutions to people sitting globally. As far as internal stakeholders, yeah, so like as far as internal stakeholders is concerned, we were following a very clear tracker system. We used to track, and even for my team members who are the part of my team, we used to have weekly meetings trying to find out where they are stuck. Because as a this leader, I had to lead myself and I had to also lead others. So that is the clear example that I had set in my team members, among the team members, so that they are able to drive things. And secondly, I have to be easily approachable. It's not that, okay, I have to do 4 tasks, 5 tasks, but I have to prioritize my task and also have to give some time to my team members to really understand their issues and sort out things so that we are able to give quality work to our clients.
You know, Mr. Ravi, it is amazing to uncover so many vital aspects of your professionalism. Now, in terms of your recognition, you have been awarded for collaboration and coordination in Shanghai, China, as well as for being the best individual performer. This speaks volumes about your specialty in your field. So what advice would you like to share with our viewers who draw inspiration from you?
See, from my perspective, the first things should be open to like take challenges, because challenges in life is very important. So unless you have challenges, no, the life becomes quite boring. So it could be home, it could be office, anywhere. You have to accept challenges. See, because I'm a person who is not interested in going to a 9 to 5 job, doing the same things, because we have the concept of automation, we have AI, we have ML, all these things are there to take care of your routine jobs. But you have to have some kind of out of thinking box. You have to think something out of the box. So that really can come only if you accept challenges. So first thing for me, I tell my team also that don't get afraid if you get a task. Okay, you may not know it, but you have already some kind of people, some experts there in this field who can guide you. Okay, and secondly, the concept of learning and development is also very important, because learning and development at each stage, even when you reach or you become this independent director, it is not that I know like everything across, because I may be lacking some kind of skill set which I have to go to the learning and development platform trying to understand different kinds of topics. So for me, that is very important. And secondly, you have to face challenges, and you have to be also like inspiration, and don't and never get like afraid to see if you have made a mistake, or so never feel bad if you have made a mistake, because one of the guiding principles in Bosch is you have to learn by mistakes. So that is what I'm trying to say. So learning and development done by mistakes. Communication, keep the clear two-way communication is very important. So as a leader and also as a team leader, as a team member, or also if you are a part of the board, the clear two-way communication is very important, because so unless you have the two-way communication, I don't see any chance of you getting clarity on your roles and responsibilities.
Surely, Mr. Ravi, your guidance can set someone on the right path. Since you're planning your next career move to a board of directors, which requires a meticulous understanding of business, so which of your roles in particular do you believe has led you in this direction?
See, to tell you the background, so I started this journey about 5 years back, where I thought that, yes, I am competent enough to join a board. But I was not getting any inputs from any, be it the internet or be it the social media, be it the Facebook. I was not getting any information so as to who can guide me on this particular thing. Then one day I got one advertisement in my Facebook about the DirectorsInstitute. And that really like interested me. I went deeper into it. I did a lot of research. And I was really happy that this is a very unique institution that is guiding us, people like us who want to join the board and become future leaders. To also, because if you see their study materials, their videos, their FaceTime with leaders, everything is very well planned and very fantastic. And secondly, if I have to tell about Mr. Sesan and also about Mr. Hevel, I think they are stalwarts who are doing a very unique task of mentoring people so that they are clearly getting onto the boards with quite knowledge, because these two gentlemen are quite like a sort of like active in case of social media, especially this LinkedIn. And I have been also seeing these articles, especially Mr. Havel. He speaks about ESG. They also got this honor from the British Parliament, and also Mr. Zishan's talks on these budgets was very, very inspiring. So I think these two people are doing an excellent job for like people like me, so that we know the growth path.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. M.S. Ravi, for your invaluable time. And we wish you the best. Best of luck in your journey ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you and have a nice day.
Thanks. Thanks.